Hello everyone, my name is Roshan from Delhi Public School, Bangalore East. I am studying Standard 12. I have with me here Mr. Wayne Lombard. Wayne Lombard is the lead scientific advisor for athletic performance for the senior women's hockey national team of India. Thank you for agreeing to this interview. A very warm welcome to you.
Thanks very much.
The Indian hockey team's fitness has improved dramatically. It can be now said that we stand toe-to-toe with any team in the world. A major part of the credit goes to the improved fitness levels of the Indian team. You have had a very interesting journey and career path. How did you come to take up this line of athletic performance management? Could you elaborate from the beginning of your journey?
Yeah, so it's been quite a process for me. So my study started in 2006 when I started my undergraduate degree in sports science. So I initially played some cricket, and then from getting a few injuries and those sort of things, I decided to look into sports science a little bit more because I didn't feel the way I was managed was very good. So that got me a bit more interested in sports science. So after a couple of years out of school, I decided to go do my undergraduate degree in sports science. Like I said, in 2006, in South Africa, it's a 3-year degree. Once you're done the 3 years, you can either go and work or you can follow up with honors and master's degrees and so on and so forth. So I did my honors in something called biokinetics, and biokinetics in South Africa is clinical exercise specialist and rehab specialist. It's really focused on orthopedic rehab and those sort of things. Then you have to do a 1-year internship, and the internship as a biokineticist, you register with the Health Professionals Council of South Africa, and then once you do the 1-year internship, you are a fully qualified biokineticist, and you can go practice on your own and do whatever you need to do. But in my internship, I actually worked at the Sports Science Institute of South Africa at the High Performance Center, and that was quite a big thing for me because that's probably like the mecca of sports science in South Africa. It was nice for me to get my internship experience there. While I was there, I started my master's degree in biokinetics as well through University of Cape Town. And so I spent about 6 years at the High Performance Center and worked my way up into a senior position at the High Performance Center. And while you're there, you kind of work with all the different national teams South Africa has to offer. So it gives you a really big exposure to different types of sports and how different sports actually work. So I finished my master's degree now I think it's about 2012 or 2013. I finished my master's degree. I can't remember exactly. And then I started my PhD after that. So PhD is in exercise science. So while working, I started the PhD, and then I decided to take a post in China where I worked with China Hockey in a province called Liaoning. After China, I finished up there in 2015, I think it was 2015, 2016. I went back to South Africa. While in South Africa, I got asked if I would come over to India to work with a company called JSW for Inspire and Steward Sport. While I was working there, obviously at this time I continued with the PhD. And while I was working at JSW, I was lucky enough to work with all different athletes that they were looking after, because it's a private institute. They choose which athletes they're going to look after. And in that time, I worked with Vinesh Bogart after she was injured in the Rio Olympic Games to get her back to full fitness. So she had a really serious knee injury at the Games, and then upon returning, they asked me to work with her there. Then so during JSW, so athletes like Vinesh Bogart, Geeta Bogart, Babita, Neeraj Chopra, Tejaswi Shankar, all these different types of combat sport, athletics, boxing, and so on and so forth, worked with the various athletes there. Then while working for JSW, I got an email asking whether or not I'd come across to hockey. And at that point in time, I thought it was quite a good challenge. And yeah, the rest is history. 5 years later, finished up with the hockey team, which is where I'm finishing up now. And then we'll return to South Africa at the end of October. And in that time, finished up with my PhD.
Okay, so now coming to your work with the Indian hockey team, what were the major changes you implemented after you took over the position of scientific advisor?
So it's quite a big question because there are a lot of changes that actually happen in the process of 5 years. Initially, the most important thing from, well, my philosophy is I always want to get buy-in first and want the athletes to understand that I care about them as a person rather than athletes initially. Athletes, there's an old saying that athletes don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that holds true because in our line of work, we have to get athletes to understand what we want from them to be able to get the best out of them. But we also have to start educating them what is good for them. And if we don't get that buy-in, it becomes very difficult. So initially it was one, to understand the culture, and my time with JSW helped me understand the Indian culture a little bit better, helped me understand how to work with female athletes at elite level from an Indian perspective as well. And over time, you get the athletes to trust what you want them to do or need them to do. And with that trust and with that buy-in, you actually start making progress. So initially, the whole process is not necessarily about sports science, and that's more about the psychology of them understanding what you require of them and what is required at elite level. Because when I joined the team, one of the big factors was that they probably weren't physically ready to compete at the best or against the best and at the highest level. So that's what we had to look at is, okay, what are the standards that the elite level hockey players are actually achieving on the pitch? And then work backwards from there and see where we're at and how we're going to narrow that gap between where the players were at in 2017 when I joined to the point where we got to when we were at the Olympic Games now in Tokyo.
Wow, that's very interesting.